Hey everyone, welcome back out to Harvest Hills Ranch. No doubt you want arms that look good, they feel strong, they're healthy, they don't feel flabby. Well, today I'm going to show you how to do that. Hey, in previous videos we have talked about upper body exercises using resistance bands, and we talked about fundamental exercises that revolve around pushing activities and pulling activities. And what we're going to take a look at today is a few ancillary movements that you can do that'll be a great way to finish off those pushing and pulling movements. Hey guys, I am Dr. Arland Hill here with Leah Hill, and we have a passion for all things nutrition, health, and wellness related. And we wanted to share with you today a couple of exercises that you can incorporate into your routine. Maybe these end up being some movements that you finish your routine with, that you just want to be able to pick things up a bit more easily, or push things away a bit easier. The arm muscles are going to come into play with that. And we're going to take a look at how to use the resistance bands to make that happen today. You guys will know from when we've talked about using these resistance bands prior, I'm a big fan of these resistance bands. They're easily scaled to whatever your level of capability is. And today we're going to put that in motion as we start to look at the movements that you can use to support building arm muscles. Now, am I trying to make you guys have big, huge arms? No. Leah, do you want big, huge arms?
Gosh,
no. But you would like nice, not your thing, right?
Okay.
But you would like nice toned arms,
yes.
Right? Yes. So that's really what we're going for today, guys, is we're just trying to make those arms more capable of doing the things that you want to go out and do every day. And that way you're not feeling limited by it.
Tank top confident.
Tank top confident. Well, there's a new term. I like that. Tank top confident. All right, guys. So I guess we're going to make you tank top confident today. So with that being said, let's jump into these exercises. Leah and I are going to demonstrate these for you. And
I'll try my best.
You'll do a good job.
I'm still relearning.
You'll do a good job. And I am going to throw in at the end a little bit of information for you. Let me just say it that way. A little bit of information about how to work these shoulder muscles. There's a couple of easy, quick things that you can do there as well. That would be a good, easy way to finish a workout as well. So with that all being said, let's jump right in, guys. We're going to start off by looking at a simple curl exercise. And here's what I'm going to do just to illustrate what this might look like the first time that you try to implement an exercise like this. And here's something else I want to point out is that this information is really for the lady like Leah who has maybe a bit of familiarity with doing some type of exercise or has absolutely no familiarity with it, right?
Depends on the topic.
Depends on the topic, right? And I like to think, you know what, you guys don't get the love and support, so that's why I wanted to build content like this for you so that you can build your own confidence. I'm not looking to try to make you guys athletes or high performance individuals. I'm just trying to help you get through life a little easier every day, and having better functional capacity does that. So here's the reason I gave you that. I intentionally did not tell Leah anything. I didn't give her any pre-instructions before shooting this. So
Oh, you set me up for success.
I did. I set her up. So if you feel clumsy doing this the first time, it's fine.
You get to enjoy the clumsiness.
You get to enjoy the clumsiness. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a band.
Okay.
And I'm going to take a band and I'm going to have you mimic me.
I'm
all right?
going to play Follow the Arland.
Follow Dr. Hill. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to step on the band about shoulder width. And then remember, guys, you have all varying degrees of resistance on these bands. So pick one that fits your capabilities. And what we're going to do initially is we're going to grab the band underhand.
Okay.
Right? And you're going to take the elbows, and you don't have to pull back too hard, but just tuck your elbows into your side.
Okay.
Right?
So like hip with as far as like the hand grip, right?
Yep. And if you want to shorten the band up a bit, you can widen your stance. Right? That's one way to do this. And I'll show you another way to do that in just a moment. But now all you're going to do is take that band and just curl it straight up. Okay? We're just going to curl that up. Slow and steady.
So I had to take some slack and go a little wider grip so it wasn't slapping the side of my hand and I actually had more control over the band.
Okay. So, and the point on that, what she just said right there, is that you want to find a point at which there's adequate resistance for you, where you feel like it's a normal, smooth motion. Don't worry about hands in, hands out initially. All we want to do is find a nice neutral position, and that's where we're curling up from, okay? Now, here's something else with this. This is a movement that is going to be far better suited for doing higher rep counts on this. I would say, especially as you're getting started, 15 is a good number to shoot for. And if you wanted to go on up to 20, 20 is a good number to top out at there as far as reps. I don't think you're going to yield a lot of benefit beyond that. But just as you're learning the movement, 15 to 20 is a good rep range here. Now, so that's one way that this can be done. Now, I also want to show you a couple of, since we're right here and these are simple changes. Yep, stay in that same position, Leah. And actually, let me have you face them. And what I'm going to have Leah show you, go about shoulder width apart on your stance right there. And I'm going to have Leah show you two things on this. So the first will be, take the band or take your hands and go a bit further down the band. Right? There you go. See how the band is starting to have some slack in it right here? So now what she just did is she just added tension. So a quick way that you can increase the resistance is just grip further down the band. Doesn't take much to, yeah. Remember that band, those pounds start to add up very quickly the tighter you stretch that band. Okay, that's one way. And when you're doing this exercise, this is focusing on the bicep here. That muscle is going to come from cross over the shoulder joint here and crosses all the way down over into the forearm there. Now, what I want you to do this time, Leah, is I want you, rather than having an underhand grip, I want you to take an overhand grip. Now, you'll probably want to initially, when you do this, just what she just did, I wouldn't grab a whole lot of slack out of that band. Go ahead and curl this up for me. Is that more difficult than underhand?
Only because of all the 50-pound feed buckets I deal with all the time. So this is actually kind of a normal.
Okay, for most people, this is going to be more resistance. And what you're going to feel is now you're going to notice that these muscles that cross over the elbow joint here, you're going to get more of the muscles on this side of the forearm. So you can do this overhand as well. In general, mix it up is what we want to go for. Now, let's keep going with this, Leah, and I want to show the folks, I want to show everyone another way to do this. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, let me have this band for just a second. What we're going to do at this point is we're going to use two bands. And let me introduce a concept for you on this. And this applies if you go back and look at any of the information I've ever shared in regards to exercise. We presented a lot of that information as doing things in symmetry, meaning we were, for example, if it was a leg exercise, we were working both legs at the same time, right? Or if it was a pushing exercise, we were working both arms and the chest muscles at the same time. But something that is important to acknowledge is that we want to also train both sides independently. So Leah was just demonstrating for us using both biceps at the same time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the biceps individually. Okay. All right? So again, if you'll face them for us. And what I want you to do is just put that under one foot. Okay. And then you can just, you've got that under one foot like that, Leah. I want you just to come in here and do this.
You know I'm not coordinated.
Okay, that's all you got to do. Okay. All right? Now, we're going to take this band and we're going to put this under that foot and then just grab down. I think you're going to find that that's going to be a lot of tension.
There we go. I got it.
Okay. Now what you can do, you'll notice that the hands are working independent of each other. And we want those two hands to stay in fluid motion with each other. We don't want one hand up moving faster than the other. We want those two hands to stay stable. And the reason that this is important is that creates symmetry from side to side. We don't want one side of the body stronger than the other, because ultimately, if that ends up happening, we create an abnormal movement pattern that creates injuries over time. So we want to avoid that. So train these muscles independent of each other as much as you train them together. And maybe even better stated, more than you train them independent. So
I had it too low before. I had to read
it was a lot of resistance, right? So well noted on this, because we're only dealing with one arm here.
Dr. Hill wanted me to go too low.
Okay, now notice Leah has her hands at a relaxed position down by the side. And what she's going to do is, as she comes up, she's going to take that hand, and as she comes up, the farther she comes up, the more, see how she's turning that hand in? That's what we're shooting for here. Yeah, you need to see how she's really struggling on that. She's just getting going with these exercises, learning to familiarize herself with these. We don't want that much tension initially. We want to feel it a little bit, but we don't want to be, pulling down. But that's not the goal, right? You can go that direction in time, but you've got to learn to develop these muscles so they can even accommodate that kind of demand for increased strength.
And you're retraining your neural pathways and that muscle memory too. So that way
exactly
when you
right.
get heavier and more tension, you got it, and you're not going to cause injury.
That's right. So she can do these one arm at a time. My personal preference for this is to do both arms at the same time. And notice what she just did right there. We don't want to do that. See how she's letting those elbows kick out? That's a no-no. We want those elbows tucked into the side of the body. And when those elbows are tucked in like that, that makes it, what that ultimately is doing is it's ensuring that she's keeping these shoulder blades. It's an effort for her to keep those shoulder blades. If she starts letting that elbow come out, those shoulder blades are going to go into the wrong position. You guys have heard me say the importance of keeping these shoulder blades in a nice tight position to be able to protect this shoulder. Same thing applies right here. Okay.
I might need a yellow band for these.
Might need, okay, yes, those are heavy. Those are heavy when you really get into doing this. Okay, especially when you're doing them with one arm. Okay. You feel the burn, right? Okay, that's the front side, right? That's just remember, these are the exercises that you're going to follow up with, and there's all kind of ways to do these, right? So this is not the only way of what I'm getting ready to tell you, but we're talking about these in the context of being ancillary exercises, and these would be good exercises to follow up other bigger movements with. So if you're pushing, if you're pushing or you're pulling, even if you're doing lower body activities and you just want to throw some type of movement to keep going in between your lower body exercise sets, this can be a good one to throw in the mix. Now, we focused on the front part. Now what we're going to do, this is the bicep. Now we're going to focus on the tricep back here. So let me get Leah squared away and set up here, and we're going to show you guys how to do that. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at these triceps.
And I went to yellow.
My comments exactly. You will notice that we took a step down with these. Here we go. I'm going to demonstrate this, and then we're going to walk through the movement with Leah. You'll see why in just a moment. These are called tricep kickbacks, right? So what the movement is going to be is we're going to take our arm, and our elbow is going to be back and up, but the arm is not flailed out. We want the arm against the body. And also, let me say that this can be done either one arm at a time or both arms at a time. And I am going to show you also how to do a similar movement which engages both arms on one band. Hold on for that. Here we go. So tricep kickback, we're going to anchor the band under our foot. We're going to grab wherever on the band you feel like that's going to give you adequate resistance. You can lean over, right? So keep your head facing forward. We don't want to be torqued one way or the other here. We want to be forward. And you're going to bring that elbow up, and you're just going to kick back, okay? From here, slow and steady, just kick back, slight pause at the top. Don't take the tension off at the bottom, which is actually not hard to do when you're dealing with bands because there's generally tension on the band all the time. But you're just going to kick back. Now, if you need to, I've got a bench, right? I could rest my opposite hand on the bench. If I needed to rest that opposite hand just to keep myself stable on my knee, I could do that as well. But the idea, we're kicking straight back there. Okay, so Leah's going to demonstrate this. You'll notice that she has the band right under midfoot. Let's slide that back just a hair. Okay, right under midfoot. She took out some of the slack on the band. So she has an adequate amount of resistance. That's adequate for her. Leah, go ahead and hinge over at your hip. And notice how I said that. I didn't say bend over, right?
I'm so bad at that.
Yes. I said hinge over at the hip, head still up, right? Bring your head up. And she's going to kick the elbow back first. Just kick the elbow back right there. Now extend it. Okay. And this is the muscle up here that we're focusing on. Can you feel it? Mm-hmm. Very easy to feel that one engage, right?
Yeah, no guessing on that one.
No guessing on that one. You'll know literally as soon as you do that first kickback, you're going to feel this one right away. Now, one of the things that you have to guard against is don't let that arm go out. That arm needs to stay tucked against the body and pushing straight back.
No chicken wings.
Straight back. That's a good analogy. I like that. No chicken wings, right? You know, I noticed in one of our previous videos we were sharing with these guys, we had chickens running around in the background back there, right? So no chicken wings. This is a good analogy for you. Okay, now what I want to show you is, and let me say one other quick thing before I show you the next exercise, is when you're doing this, this is also a higher repetition exercise. Minimum 10 reps on this as you're getting going. 15 to 20 is going to be better to learn the movement, get your muscles accustomed to it. If you do a couple of sets of these one day and you haven't been doing these, you're probably going to be sore the next day. You're going to really feel this in that tricep muscle, and that's okay. We want to challenge those muscles. We want to use those muscles. All right. So with that being said, let's use this same concept of extending the arm out, but now what we want to do is we're going to use a higher anchor point. So we were actually anchoring with this previous movement from the ground, right, from the bottom. Now we're going to anchor from the top, and we're going to use both arms at the same time, right? So let's take a look at that. Next exercise is going to be the tricep push down. And I almost said press down, which it is in a way a press down, but these are generally called tricep push downs. Now, you'll notice on this we're anchored at a high point. And so we're going to actually be pulling down. We're going to use both hands on this. And Leah, if you will go ahead, and she's going to find a position here that's comfortable for her, a resistance. She's going to grab it high enough that it's adequate resistance. And from this, she's going to just take the elbows and bring them down by the side and lock those elbows in, and then come back up. Slow and steady. Lock those elbows in. Those elbows aren't going to move. You'll notice that she has the shoulders nice and tight. She's not overdoing this. She's keeping the band against the body. So if you'll turn a bit like this for us, the band is in tighter to the body there. So she's not out and leaning over. And one of the things that I really like about the band for this exercise is that you'll notice when this portion of the movement right here, what's called the negative, when she's letting the resistance back up, the band inherently wants to pull you back up because of the elasticity in it. And that's actually good in terms of building resistance or building strength and fighting that resistance, because you have to constantly work against that band through the entire range of motion. You're working pushing down as the resistance is gaining. And actually your leverage is better. Go ahead and do another rep. Your leverage is better the farther down you extend out the arm. And so the band is increasing its resistance as your leverage is improving. So it's keeping the work demand higher for you, but not unrealistic. And then as she lets the band back up, the band is wanting to naturally pull back up, and she has to fight that to keep it from jerking back up. These are easy to incorporate in among other exercises as well. If you just want to, again, maybe you want to do some supersets, you want to keep the momentum in your workout going, you want to get a lot done in a short period of time and combine some exercises together, this can be a great one to work in between your bigger movements where you're incorporating in a lot of muscle groups and you need to just catch your breath and focus on some smaller muscle groups. This is a great one to add in to be able to do that. Okay, so those are your primary movements. When it comes to the arms, we're either curling or extending. We're flexing at the elbow or we're extending at the elbow. Now, I do want to, just to wrap up, to give you another ancillary exercise, I do want to show something that you can do for the shoulders, and there's going to be a couple of variations on this, but let's get set up here and I'm going to have Leah demonstrate on this some things you can do for these shoulder muscles. Okay, you ready to do that?
Do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, the last exercise that I want to share with you for these ancillary upper arm, shoulder exercises here, we're going to do what's known as a reverse fly. Now, you'll notice that I don't have the solid round band that I had prior. We've gone to a lighter band, so just keep that in mind. You may even do some of the flat bands that don't have a high amount of resistance. You don't need a lot of resistance for this activity. What you're going to do is bend slightly at the knees and at the hips, and we're going to, whereas with the chest press we were pulling the resistance out in front of us, now we're going to be pulling the resistance from in front of us out to our side. And so it will look like this. I'll let that back down slow. And surprise, surprise, you're going to keep those shoulder blades pinned against your rib cage as you're doing this motion. But where you're going to start to feel this, you'll feel this some along this rear shoulder here around this posterior deltoid muscle. But initially, you'll also likely feel this on the inside, along the spine as well. Some of those smaller muscles on the inside of the shoulder blade, those are going to help stabilize in there. And so you should start to feel it in that area as well. Now, as far as your hand positioning, being up, being down, you're going to be better off with starting out with more of a palms down type of position. And then as you pull back, you'll feel your arm naturally want to roll out, and just follow that natural movement and don't fight that. And you'll notice the resistance on this, because again, we're dealing with bands, there's always constant resistance. So don't let that band just go back. Let it go back nice and slow and smooth. So, what do you think? Think these guys can get a good arm workout, good shoulder workout with these exercises that we've showed them here?
Absolutely.
I think you guys can too. And again, these are easy to just stick in your workouts as you're working through some of your bigger core movements. You may find that you do these on a routine basis. You may find that you come back and you do these infrequently. Admittedly, when you're doing these bigger movements that are engaging a lot of different muscles, you're going to work the arm muscles. So you're going to develop the ability to better flex and extend at the elbow, even just doing some of the press or some of the pulling and some of the pressing movements that we shared with you. But if you want a little more, feel like you need a little more capability, these are the exercises that you can begin to think about there. So with that being said, guys, if you are looking for more information about how to optimize your health, go to drarlandhill.com and you can see how Leah and I support patients and what we share with them and the things that we help them work through in their health to become more optimal. And then if you are interested in what we do out here at Harvest Hills Ranch, you can go to harvesthillsranch.com and find out how we raise food with uncompromising principles, and we don't skimp on anything. We do it the right way, right?
Hard or not.
Yep, hard or not. So until next time, guys, I will see you soon. Dr. Arland Hill with Leah Hill. Take care, everyone.